Hey everyone, welcome. On this channel, we're going to get into an advanced look at the story Disastrous Necromancer. Come with me as we unravel the journey of Lin Moyu, from his beginnings to him becoming a force to be reckoned with in a mysterious new world. If this story sounds like something you'll enjoy, please like, share, and comment. Your support helps us keep providing these in-depth looks into the world of Disastrous Necromancer. Now let's continue.
The Undying Law, as Lin Moyu's innate law, was the first law he mastered, akin to a talent. As his realm continuously improved, Lin Moyu's control over the Undying Law also grew stronger. The power and practicality of the Undying Law had never disappointed Lin Moyu. Even when fighting across realms, the Undying Law could play a surprising role. Lin Moyu skillfully infused the Undying Law into the Bone Hell. This time, the Bone Hell's reaction was not as intense as before. Although there was some discomfort, it was still within an acceptable range. There's hope. Lin Moyu adjusted the law to adapt to the Bone Hell. As a member of the White Star level techniques, the Bone Hell could originally bear the Undying Law. However, bearing it was just bearing it. It was not the same as now, where Lin Moyu wanted to integrate the Undying Law with the technique. Originally, the law was just on the surface of the technique, but now Lin Moyu wanted to embed the law inside the technique, a completely different concept. My technique, my law, must be entirely under my control. With a touch of dominance, Lin Moyu believed that his own things must be fully controlled by him. Under Lin Moyu's control, the Undying Law finally penetrated. The Bone Hell seemed to accept the Undying Law, and the two began to merge. The Undying Law split into two within the Bone Hell. The power of death merged with the river of hellfire, integrating with the hell fiends in the river, making them stronger. The power of life merged into the river of hellfire, blending with the blood. This blood came from countless alien beings, and it seemed to still contain a trace of unexhausted vitality. Stimulated by the power of life, the last bit of vitality was activated and began to bloom. On the banks of the river of hellfire, flowers began to appear. Purple flowers, each taller than a person, with petals covered in blood veins, yet emitting a blue glow, incredibly enchanting. These are Manjusaka flowers. Lin Moyu suddenly remembered a legend that in hell, there blooms a flower called Manjusaka. The name of the flower is equivalent to the Other Shore realm, but it is not the Other Shore realm. The Other Shore realm represents power, strength, and infinite vitality. But the Manjusaka flower represents death, eeriness, terror, and despair. At the moment the Manjusaka flowers bloomed, Lin Moyu felt the Bone Hell become more real. The faintly visible gate of hell seemed to open a bit more, with more power flowing out. Hell is virtual, the law is real. Advance. Lin Moyu said loudly, his voice like a decree, following his words. The Bone Hell began to advance officially amidst roaring sounds, its range continuously expanding, increasing by 100-fold, covering 100 billion kilometers of starry sky. Just advancing from Divine Venerable rank 7 to rank 8, its range could expand 100-fold. This growth rate even shocked Lin Moyu, the owner. However, after thinking carefully, he understood. The original growth shouldn't have been this large, mainly because of himself. The intervention of the Undying Law gave the Bone Hell both virtual and real characteristics, making it more perfect in a sense. This triggered a qualitative change, causing the Bone Hell to expand 100-fold instantly. Originally, the Bone Hell could only cover some smaller star systems. For larger star systems, Lin Moyu often chose to cover the main life planets within, letting the Bone Hell and the Undead Army cooperate. But from now on, there was no need for the Undead Army to cooperate. The Bone Hell, with a range of 100 billion kilometers, could almost completely cover most star systems in the Great World. Lin Moyu strengthened the Undying Law, and the law's star river surged, with a large amount of the Undying Law pouring into the Bone Hell. The two forces were merging. After the Bone Hell expanded, the hellfire became fiercer, and the river of hellfire grew wider, eventually transforming into an endless long river. On both sides of the river, the purple flowers with blue light and blood veins bloomed enchantingly, making one's heart race. The hell fiends grew stronger, quickly breaking through from Divine Venerable rank 7 to rank 8. Their power increased, and their numbers also grew. Originally, there were 10 million hell fiends, but the number directly increased tenfold, reaching over 100 million. Not bad. Lin Moyu was extremely satisfied with the changes in the Bone Hell. He didn't expect that his sudden idea of integrating the law into the Bone Hell would yield such good results. The advancement of the Bone Hell lasted for 3 days before it ended. The gate of hell gradually disappeared, and the infusion of the Undying Law also stopped. From this moment on, the Bone Hell not only connected to the real hell but also to Lin Moyu's Undying Law. Lin Moyu sensed the changes brought by the bone hell. This is my first virtual real integrated technique. Let's see its effect. Lin Moyu was somewhat impatient. He put away the bone hell and flew towards the nearest star system. He flashed through the starry sky step by step, crossing nearly 100 billion kilometers in a very short time, arriving in front of a star system. This star system consisted of 2 life stars, 7 resource stars, and a giant star, with a diameter of over 6 billion kilometers. If it were before, Lin Moyu would have the bone hell cover the 2 life stars and simultaneously deploy the undead army to surround the entire star system. Under the triple lock of the formation, Lin Moyu could ensure that no information would get out. Previously, everything had gone smoothly. Now it became even smoother. After the bone hell advanced, there was no need for the undead army. 2 formation discs flew out, positioned to Lin Moyu's left and right, and were then activated. Space was instantly sealed, and all communication methods failed. The divine venerables guarding the star system immediately sensed something and rushed out at the first moment. The star system shone brightly, and the protective formation automatically activated. Lin Moyu casually pointed, and the bone hell appeared, instantly covering the entire star system. The protective formation shattered on the spot, and the next second, screams rang out as several divine venerables of the cold water tribe died on the spot. Their realms were not high. Among the 6 divine venerables, the strongest was only a high-level divine venerable. The other 5 were just rank 3 to rank 5 divine venerables. Even the high-level divine venerable couldn't last a second. The hell fiends hadn't even acted yet. The hellfire alone had already burned them to death. Their deaths were peculiar. Although they were burned to death by the hellfire, their flesh melted like ice and snow, all falling into the river of hellfire, becoming its nourishment. Very strong. Lin Moyu watched and muttered to himself. A high-level divine venerable couldn't even withstand the hellfire, showing that the bone hell had become much stronger than before. Not only had its range increased, but it had also become more ferocious. Over 100 million hell fiends swept through the star system like a storm. After a gust of wind, there were no more living beings in the star system, and the 2 life stars became extremely silent. Not a single member of the cold water tribe was left. Even the insects on the planets were completely burned to death. All the plants were turned into nourishment by the hellfire, becoming food for the bone hell. If it weren't for Lin Moyu's orders, the bone hell wouldn't even spare the planets. Truly accepting everything, not picky at all. Lin Moyu smiled, took out the containment sigil array, and packed up the entire star system. With the bone hell's advancement, Lin Moyu's plan became even simpler. The human race was once the master of the great world and had an intelligence system that other races knew nothing about. This intelligence system was managed by the Sigil Saint Venerable. The main reason was that to operate this system, a large number of sigil masters were needed to drive it through sigil arrays. Currently, within the human race, the Sigil Saint Venerable was the most suitable person for this role. The human race's intelligence system spanned various star regions. Although part of it had been destroyed over the past 100,000 years, it could still play a significant role. Within the domain of the Great World, any significant event could hardly escape the notice of the Sigil Saint Venerable. The Sigil Saint Venerable received a report from his subordinates and immediately rushed to the central temple. He urgently said to the Heavenly Saint Venerable and the House Saint Venerable, "I just received news that the star systems of the Cold Water Tribe are rapidly disappearing." The Heavenly Saint Venerable was initially stunned but quickly realized something. Is it Lin Moyu? The Sigil Saint Venerable shook his head. I can't be completely sure, but it's highly likely to be him. The Cold Water Tribe is too far away, and we have very little information. The House Saint Venerable lightly tapped the table. It should be Lin Moyu. Little Mist, what do you think? Beside the House Saint Venerable, Little Mist was squatting on the ground, fiddling with something that looked like a new toy. Little Mist's eyes were clear. The master has indeed returned. I can sense the master's approximate location. Little Mist had a strong connection with Lin Moyu. Ever since Lin Moyu returned to the domain, Little Mist had sensed him. The House Saint Venerable's thoughts moved, and a star map unfolded in the air. Little Mist, point out Lin Moyu's approximate location. The star map changed from vertical to horizontal, directly covering Little Mist. Little Mist carefully sensed for a moment, then pointed to a direction in the starry sky. It's roughly here. Looking at the location Little Mist pointed to, the House Saint Venerable smiled. I knew it. The location Little Mist pointed to was precisely the star region where the Cold Water Tribe was located. With Little Mist's confirmation, it could be completely certain that the incident with the Cold Water Tribe was Lin Moyu's doing. At the same time, it could also be confirmed that the incident with the Green Crane Tribe was also Lin Moyu's doing. At that time, they had released the news about the ghost race, and it wasn't a mistake. The How Saint Venerable asked, Sigil Saint Venerable, based on the current situation of the Cold Water Tribe, how long do you think it will take for the Cold Water Tribe to completely disappear? The Sigil Saint Venerable replied, the Cold Water Tribe has already disappeared by 2/3. It should take about another month. The How Saint Venerable said, all right, in a month, we will release the news, saying that we have discovered traces of the ghost race. But we won't say where we discovered it. All the major races know that our human race has ancient monitoring artifacts. Let them guess. The How Saint Venerable planned to push the incident with the Cold Water Tribe onto the ghost race, to delay the time before Lin Moyu was discovered. The Sigil Saint Venerable and the Heavenly Saint Venerable both agreed with the How Saint Venerable's suggestion. The Sigil Saint Venerable said, I will continue to monitor and release the news once Lin Moyu leaves the Cold Water Tribe. It's a pity that part of the ancient array has been destroyed. Otherwise, the entire great world would be under our surveillance. The Heavenly Saint Venerable said, Lin Moyu has now received the inheritance of the Saint Sigil Heavenly Venerable. Given time, he might be able to repair the ancient array. The Sigil Saint Venerable also smiled, I hope that day comes. Little Mist suddenly interjected, the Master can definitely do it. The Master's luck is excellent. Her words made the three laugh. The How Saint Venerable especially liked Little Mist, treating her like his own daughter and taking her everywhere. The How Saint Venerable chuckled, I don't know how Lin Moyu does it, silently wiping out an entire race. Such a method, truly impressive. The Heavenly Saint Venerable nodded, even the star systems are gone. The method is indeed extraordinary. They were very curious about Lin Moyu's methods and wanted to ask him when he returned. 26 days later, Lin Moyu had wiped out the Cold Water Tribe. All the star systems of the Cold Water Tribe were erased, leaving none except those not within the tribe. From then on, the Cold Water Tribe was removed from the Great World, with only a few scattered survivors, as good as non-existent. After erasing the Cold Water Tribe, Lin Moyu quickly entered the warship and dove into deep space, disappearing without a trace. The Cold Water Tribe was gone, and the original star region was empty, becoming a barren land. Lin Moyu left no traces. The bone held devoured everything, even its own aura, leaving nothing detectable. Shortly after Lin Moyu left, an invisible aura descended upon him. The aura came from the Great World Rune, ignoring the barriers of deep space. Lin Moyu felt a lightness in his body, knowing that this light feeling came from the Great World Rune. Another karmic tie had been severed, reducing the burden on the Great World Rune. Lin Moyu could vaguely sense the joy of the Great World Rune, and even he felt a sense of relief. At this moment, he and the Great World were in sync. As the aura of the Great World Rune grew stronger, the reward finally arrived. Lin Moyu once again smoothly entered a state of enlightenment. Just before entering this state, he summoned the star rivers of time and space laws. The Great World Rune would reward him based on the laws he was cultivating. Having had this experience once, Lin Moyu naturally wouldn't make a mistake the second time. In the state of enlightenment, various principles of the two laws continuously flowed into his soul. His control over the laws gradually increased, far faster than if he were to comprehend and cultivate on his own. 8 days after Lin Moyu left the Cold Water Tribe, the human race released news. They had discovered traces of the ghost race, confirming that the ghost race was still within the domain. The news spread quickly, reaching all races within just 2 or 3 days. All races knew that the human race had ancient arrays, making it difficult to hide anything from them within the Great World. This had been an advantage of the human race since ancient times, so it was not surprising that they could discover traces of the ghost race. The legendary ghost race reappearing within the domain caused concern among all races. However, the human race did not release more specific information, nor did they say where the ghost race had appeared. Worried, the various races began searching, and soon discovered that the Cold Water Tribe was gone. When the strong members of the various races arrived at the Cold Water Tribe's territory, they were all speechless with shock. The Cold Water Tribe, like the Green Crane Tribe, had disappeared without a trace, completely wiped out. This time, Abyss Demon Venerable also came. He inspected the entire star region but found nothing, no traces at all. The other shore beings and Saint Venerables who came with him were the same, finding nothing. Blood Bull Saint Venerable asked, could it be the human race? Abyss Demon Venerable shook his head, no, we have been fighting the human race and know their actions well. Moreover, wiping out an entire race silently is not something one person can do. It must require a large force. Blood Bull Saint Venerable, think about it. If it were you, could you do it? Blood Bull Saint Venerable shook his head, I couldn't. Indeed, he couldn't. With his ability, wiping out the Cold Water Tribe was not difficult. But to do so silently, erasing the entire Cold Water tribe without leaving any traces, was beyond him. With no other explanation, they had to believe that it was the work of the ghost race. All the races began to guard against the ghost race, continuously strengthening their defenses. The demon race started setting up barriers. Apart from the human race's grand array, the demon race's barrier was considered one of the most perfect defenses. The Cold Water tribe had previously been protected by a barrier, but unfortunately, they were still silently wiped out by the ghost race. All the races were in a state of panic, and the newly formed 100 Races Alliance began to waver. To stabilize the alliance, the demon race began to strengthen the barriers for all the races. At the same time, the demon race also requested all the races to search for ancient records, trying to find as much information related to the ghost race as possible. 100,000 years ago, the various races had seized many things from the human race, including some ancient records. As long as they searched carefully, they might discover some clues. Although the demon race had made promises, the 100 Races Alliance's attacks on the human race still became disorganized and uncontrollable. The races had no heart for a great war and temporarily sought only to protect themselves. Lin Moyu sat in the warship, meditating with his eyes closed. The aura of enlightenment had long dissipated. This time, the enlightenment lasted for 2 days, twice as long as before. The rewards from the Great World Rune were more than before, and Lin Moyu also gained more benefits. The control over the time law and space law both increased from 20% to 22%. Although it seemed like a small improvement, Lin Moyu knew how difficult it was to cultivate these two laws. Especially the time law, which was even more challenging than the space law. Most of the enlightenment time was spent on the time law, with a small portion on the space law. Lin Moyu aimed to advance both laws simultaneously and always maintain their fusion state. Each law increased by 2%, which would have taken decades without the state of enlightenment. Now, it only took 2 days, which was extremely fast. After the enlightenment ended, Lin Moyu began to fuse the two laws. With the previous foundation, the fusion of the laws was completed smoothly. The power of time and space flowed through his body, causing Lin Moyu's perception of time to fluctuate, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, constantly changing. From the outside, Lin Moyu seemed to have a feeling of separating from this world. When the power of time and space was pushed to the extreme, Lin Moyu seemed to not exist in this world. As the initiator, Lin Moyu also vaguely had this feeling. For a moment, he seemed to be observing this world from another perspective. This feeling was very mysterious, as if he stood at the highest point of the world, able to see many things that were previously impossible to see. However, this feeling only lasted for a moment, not even 0.01 seconds. If Lin Moyu's soul were not sensitive enough, he wouldn't have felt it at all. After completing the fusion of the laws, Lin Moyu stopped cultivating. He felt his own body and muttered to himself, "My idea was correct. Helping the Great World Rune sever karmic ties can indeed earn the Great World Rune's rewards, allowing me to enter the state of enlightenment. With the help of the enlightenment state, I can cultivate at the fastest speed, but this method also has its drawbacks. If I enter enlightenment multiple times, it seems to reduce the effectiveness of the enlightenment. After entering enlightenment, a trace of the enlightenment aura will remain on my body, which will affect the next enlightenment. The enlightenment aura dissipates very slowly and requires time. But for now, I should be able to enter enlightenment one more time, and then I need to rest for a while. I should return to the human star region first and inform the Saint Venerables about this, so they can be prepared." Lin Moyu controlled the warship, flying towards the human star region. At this moment, the various races had already started a war with the human race. Many routes to the human star region were blocked, making it impossible to pass through even deep space. Lin Moyu searched all the way and finally found an unblocked route through the perception of the space law. He flew through the dark void between the Azure Dragon Star region and the Vermilion Bird Star region. The only drawback was that the dark void was affected by the power of the Black Blood Great Realm, making the entire space relatively chaotic. The dark void was filled with countless star beasts and was also invaded by the power of the Black Blood Great Realm. Occasionally, there would be space rifts and space turbulence in deep space. Except for beings like the Killing Saint Venerable who thrived in such environments, most people disliked the dark void. Lin Moyu didn't want to alarm the various races for now, nor did he want them to know he was outside, so he chose a more difficult path. Unknowingly, Lin Moyu and several Saint Venerables reached a rare consensus, forming a tacit understanding. The various races turned their homes upside down, searching through the materials they had seized from the human race, and finally found some hidden records. The records confirmed the existence of the ghost race, and what shocked them the most was that the ghost race was created by an ancient heavenly venerable. That heavenly venerable was extremely mysterious, creating the ghost race and then leaving them, disappearing without a trace. The records were incomplete, only revealing that the ghost race had incredibly terrifying combat power, capable of killing people invisibly. Wherever they passed, not a blade of grass grew, which indeed matched the experiences of the Green Crane and Cold Water tribes. Besides this, what shocked them the most was that a heavenly venerable could create a race. The Saint Venerables and other shore beings of the various races gathered again, and someone asked, Abyss Demon Venerable, do you know if a heavenly venerable can create a race? Among the various races, the demon race had a long history and had once produced a heavenly venerable. Few races had produced heavenly venerables, and those that did were later exterminated by the human race. Very few races that had produced heavenly venerables survived to the present day. The demon race was one, and it seemed the Golden Eagle race might have had one too, but it was not confirmed. Abyss Demon Venerable said, although our race produced a heavenly venerable in ancient times, that ancestor died in battle shortly after becoming a heavenly venerable. His words disappointed many. Abyss Demon Venerable continued, however, the ancestor left a few words, saying that not all heavenly venerables are the same. It cannot be denied that the human race's heavenly venerables were very strong. At that time, we were lucky to produce a heavenly venerable, but we were far inferior to the human race's heavenly venerables. As for whether heavenly venerables can create races, we are not sure. Black Gold Saint Venerable of the Golden Eagle race said, indeed, our ancestor also said that the human race's heavenly venerables were very powerful. If it weren't for the Black Blood Great Realm restraining the human race's heavenly venerables at that time, we would have been exterminated long ago. Everyone was speechless, not knowing what to do. Someone worriedly said, the ancient human race's heavenly venerables were so powerful, and the race they created must be equally terrifying. How should we deal with this? Abyss Demon Venerable sneered, there's no need to worry too much. Although the ghost race was created by a human heavenly venerable, that heavenly venerable is long gone, and the ghost race is completely out of the human race's control. Otherwise, why didn't the human race deploy the ghost race 100,000 years ago? If the ghost race were truly that terrifying, would the human race have ended up in such a state back then? The appearance of the ghost race this time is just an accident. Maybe next time, they'll go to the human race's territory. We don't need to worry. His words slightly reassured the strong members of the various races. In the ancestral land of the Bull Demon tribe, the aura on the 1,000-meter-tall Bull Demon statue was steadily and slowly growing stronger. The statue emitted a faint light. Blood Bull Saint Venerable once again came before the statue and respectfully asked, My lord, can a heavenly venerable really create a race? After a moment, a voice came from the statue, can, and cannot. The Bull Demon statue connected to some unknown existence, one that could promise the position of supreme and possessed astonishing power. Blood Bull Saint Venerable could obtain many unexpected answers from him. Can, and cannot. This answer left Blood Bull Saint Venerable puzzled. However, the unknown existence continued. This great realm once had powerful heavenly venerables who indeed had the ability to create new species, but that is not the same as creating life. Blood Bull Saint Venerable still didn't understand, is there a difference? Creating new species and creating life seemed the same to him. You will understand when you reach that realm. Do you have any other questions? Blood Bull Saint Venerable sensed that the other party seemed to be in a good mood today and was speaking more politely than usual. Seizing the opportunity, he continued to ask, we received news that a heavenly venerable from the ancient human race once created a race called the Ghost Race. The Ghost Race was used by that heavenly venerable to deal with enemies. Later, the heavenly venerable disappeared, and the Ghost Race also vanished. But after 1,000,000 years, the Ghost Race has reappeared. Blood Bull Saint Venerable recounted the recent events that happened to the Green Crane tribe and the Cold Water tribe. The Bull Demon statue seemed to fall into deep thought. Blood Bull Saint Venerable waited patiently, not urging him. He knew the other party must have heard and was thinking. However, the fact that it took so long for the other party to think made Blood Bull Saint Venerable's heart pound. He realized that the Ghost Race might not be ordinary. After a long time, the statue finally spoke again. That was a powerful heavenly venerable who seems to have reached the Tao Venerable realm. The Ghost Race would indeed be a rather terrifying race. Blood Bull Saint Venerable asked, Lord, how should we defend against them? The statue replied, if it is indeed as I think, then there is no defense. Not only you, but even ordinary Supremes would retreat in fear. Anyone below Supreme encountering the Ghost Race will surely die. Blood Bull Saint Venerable gasped. He never expected the Ghost Race to be so terrifying. But thinking about the Heavenly Venerable's original intention of creating the ghost race to suppress rebellions, if they were too weak, how could they suppress anything? At that time, there were still some supremes among the various races. The light on the statue changed, becoming dimmer than before. Blood Bull Saint Venerable knew that the other party's consciousness had already left. He bowed slightly to the statue and then turned to leave. As he left, he sent a message to Blood Bull Saint Venerable, sharing what he knew and advising him to be cautious and avoid confronting the ghost race directly. In the dark void, a light dot was flying rapidly, moving at an astonishing speed. The space in the dark void was somewhat chaotic, with frequent space rifts appearing, making the use of a warship inconvenient. Lin Moyu abandoned the warship, relying on the space law to traverse the dark void himself. In terms of speed, Lin Moyu was faster and more flexible. The surrounding light had long been swallowed up. Lin Moyu's body glowed with purple light as he shuttled through the endless void. This was his second time in the dark void, and with his current strength and realm, Lin Moyu had a deeper understanding of the dark void. The dark void was once one of the battlefields and also the chosen invasion point of the Black Blood Great Realm. It was filled with the power of the Black Blood Great Realm. If the Great World Rune were intact, it would surely expel all this power. But now, the Great World Rune was severely damaged and had no strength to clear the power of the Black Blood Great Realm. Besides the Dark Void, many places in the Great World still had remnants of the Black Blood Great Realm's power. Lin Moyu even suspected that some strong beings from the Black Blood Great Realm were still hiding, barely surviving. They seemed to have a way to put themselves into a state of slumber, where their life force wouldn't diminish, waiting for the right moment to awaken again. Has the Black Blood Great Realm really disappeared? Lin Moyu recalled the scene he saw in the Boundary Sea, where the Great World was moving alone in the vast ocean. At that time, he didn't see the existence of the Black Blood Great Realm and wondered if it had already left. After the two worlds collided and fought, they each went their separate ways. But now, in the dark void, Lin Moyu felt that the Great World hadn't gone far. He recalled the first time he encountered a strong being from the Black Blood Great Realm in a secret realm. Due to the origin technique, he was almost killed by the strong being from the Black Blood Great Realm across space. The Black Blood Great Realm is still here, they haven't left. But where did they go, and why couldn't I see them in the Boundary Sea? The Black Blood Great Realm has hidden itself, they won't easily let go of the Great World. If the enmity between the various races and the human race was a blood feud, then the enmity between the Great World and the Black Blood Great Realm was also a blood feud. In the end, only one side could survive. Lin Moyu felt that things were becoming more complicated and troublesome. Many matters were intertwined, becoming a tangled mess, hard to unravel. Lin Moyu crossed the dark void at the fastest speed, getting closer and closer to the human race. Finally, Lin Moyu sensed a trace of the Human Emperor Network's aura. However, he was still some distance from the Human Star region. He could only sense the aura of the Human Emperor Network, not yet able to communicate with it. Lin Moyu stopped in the darkness and took out a formation disc, quickly activating it. The formation disc emitted a brilliant light, crossing the void and disappearing into the endless darkness. The formation disc activated, temporarily connecting the power of the Human Emperor Network. Lin Moyu waited for several minutes until the aura of the Human Emperor Network was strong enough to communicate, Human Emperor. Present. The response from the Human Emperor Network was swift. After connecting the power of the Human Emperor Network with the formation, communication was no longer a problem, though it couldn't interfere with reality. Lin Moyu asked, which Saint Venerable is present? Soon, the voice of Hao Saint Venerable sounded, I am here. As Hao Saint Venerable spoke, another faint voice could be heard in the background, I am here too, I am here too. Lin Moyu recognized Little Mist's voice and couldn't help but smile. Hao Saint Venerable asked, Lin Moyu, did you do what happened to the Green Crane tribe and the Cold Water tribe? Although they were 90% sure, they still needed confirmation from Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu quickly recounted his recent actions and inquired about the human race's recent activities. Hao Saint Venerable did not hide anything, explaining their dissemination of the ghost race information to divert attention. Lin Moyu hadn't expected that he would unknowingly cooperate with the Saint Venerables. Lin Moyu asked, Senior, how much do you know about the ghost race? Hao Saint Venerable replied, not much. We only know of its existence. Our records on the ghost race are limited, with many lost 100,000 years ago. I have asked the Human Emperor Network to send you all the information we have on the ghost race. Lin Moyu received the information and quickly reviewed it, committing it to memory. Hao Saint Venerable asked, when do you plan to return? Little Mist's voice also chimed in, Master, remember to bring a gift for Little Mist when you come back. Lin Moyu couldn't help but smile. I don't plan to return for now. Since you've given me such a good identity, I'll make good use of it and do more things as the ghost race. Hao Saint Venerable was not surprised by Lin Moyu's decision and did not interfere. From the beginning, he advocated for Lin Moyu's free growth. As seniors, they only needed to support him quietly from behind. The great calamity that occurred 100,000 years ago caused the human race to lose a lot of information. Some were stolen, some were erased, and much information was completely damaged. At that time, the human race did not have the Human Emperor network, so once those materials were lost, they were lost forever. Today, the human race has very little information about the ghost race. In the limited information available, the ghost race is described as very powerful. They once fought for the human race, suppressing rebellions from various tribes. Several tribes were exterminated by them, and their combat methods were somewhat similar to Lin Moyu's. Later, the ghost race disappeared for unknown reasons, only to reappear many years later. Each time they appeared, the ghost race would cause a massacre. Their targets seemed to include not only foreign races but also the human race. From the bits and pieces of the ghost race's past, Lin Moyu carefully analyzed and combined it with the last words left by the Saint Sigil Heavenly Venerable, who advised him to find the ghost race. Lin Moyu made a bold guess. The ghost race was a race created by a certain Heavenly Venerable in ancient times. This race possessed extremely strong combat power and was adept at manipulating the power of the void, which led to their formidable results. The power of the void is terrifying, and even a Saint Venerable would find it difficult to contend with. Even Lin Moyu, who now also mastered a bit of the power of the void, feared that he would be doomed if he encountered the ghost race. No wonder the Saint Sigil Heavenly Venerable told me to wait until I became a Saint Venerable before seeking out the ghost race. He knew all along. Is the Heavenly Venerable who created the ghost race still around, or has he, like other Heavenly Venerables, already left? A Heavenly Venerable capable of creating a race with the power of the void would be a top-tier powerhouse even among Heavenly Venerables. However, since the Saint Sigil Heavenly Venerable advised him to seek out the ghost race after reaching the Saint Venerable realm, there must be a reason. A wave of consciousness swept over Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu looked around and sensed a large number of star beasts flying towards him in the void. The power of the formation disk had attracted the attention of the star beasts. In the endless darkness, the formation disk was like a blazing flame, very conspicuous. Although the star beasts were powerful, most of them lacked intelligence and acted purely on instinct. Lin Moyu calmly put away the formation disk. These star beasts were not worth his attention. If they hadn't come, it would have been fine, but since they had, they wouldn't be leaving. They would become nourishment for the Bone Hell. The Bone Hell, after reaching Divine Venerable Rank 8, had integrated the Undying Law. Its power had greatly increased, but so had the requirements for advancement. The dozens of star systems from the Cold Water Tribe were like a drop in the bucket, barely improving the Bone Hell. Lin Moyu didn't mind at all. The more nourishment, the better. Dozens of star beasts approached from all directions, the weakest at Divine Venerable Rank 1, the strongest at Divine Venerable Rank 3. Lin Moyu felt a bit disappointed, too weak, not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. Such a small number of star beasts was indeed a drop in the bucket. Lin Moyu thought that even if he devoured all the star beasts in the dark void, it might not be enough for the Bone Hell to advance again. The Bone Hell appeared, instantly enveloping all the approaching star beasts. Terrifying sounds echoed from within the hell, accompanied by the star beasts' terrified roars. Seconds later, the Bone Hell disappeared, taking the star beasts with it, leaving the void completely calm. After devouring dozens of Divine Venerable level star beasts, the Bone Hell remained calm, showing no signs of improvement. Lin Moyu scanned the dark void. No rush, I'll deal with you all later. The star beasts in the dark void wouldn't escape, so there was plenty of time to deal with them. With a cold glint in his eyes, Lin Moyu disappeared into the darkness. Since the silent disappearance of the Cold Water Tribe, the great world seemed to have fallen quiet again. The demon race quickly set up barriers for various races to prevent attacks from the ghost race. With stronger barrier protection, the races seemed much more at ease. Only Blood Bull Saint Venerable held no hope in his heart. He had received news from Blood Bull Saint Venerable and knew how terrifying the ghost race was. If encountered, even he would have to flee for his life, let alone the so-called strong barriers of the demon race, which were useless. But he couldn't say these things. If he did, the 100 Races Alliance would surely waver. The human race would seize the opportunity to strike, breaking them one by one. Although the 100 Races Alliance seemed numerous, few could truly confront the human race head-on. Even the demon race, alone, would struggle to contend with the human race. Most of the weaker races were just cannon fodder in the eyes of the strong races. The Demon race and the Golden Eagle race clearly understood this. While the Demon race set up barriers, the Golden Eagle race led the 100 Races Alliance in launching even more ferocious attacks on the human race. At least on the surface, they wanted the human race to think they were united. The 100 Races Alliance, in terms of numbers, already surpassed the human race. In recent years, the human race had lost more battles than they had won. However, they felt this was the human race deliberately showing weakness. Each time the human race retreated quickly, but in reality, they hadn't suffered much loss. They didn't dare to pursue, as the defenses of the human star region were too strong. The starry sky was filled with arrays. If they dared to charge in, they would surely suffer heavy losses. But they also knew that this stalemate was not a solution. The Demon race had proposed concentrating their forces to attack one star region. As long as one star region was breached, the human race's defense system would have a gap. But the premise was to catch them off guard, concentrating the strongest forces of all races for a decisive strike. Originally, this plan was being prepared, but the sudden appearance of the Ghost race disrupted it. Part of the Demon race's forces had already gone to set up barriers for various races, so the surprise attack plan had to be postponed. The Shimu tribe, located on the edge of the domain space, was very far from the human star region, possibly the farthest tribe. If you drew a straight line on the star map, the nearest human star region the Shimu tribe could reach would be the Azure Dragon star region. They would have to pass through 7 other tribes to get there. The Shimu tribe was a plant-based race, surrounded by other races, giving them a sense of security. In terms of strength, the Shimu tribe was very weak, similar to the Cold Water tribe. They occupied 86 star systems, but each star system was small, with limited resources. The Shimu tribe was once powerful. 100,000 years ago, they were very close to becoming a strong race, and at that time, they were near the human race. Later, they were decimated by Shao Zhanshan, leaving them crippled. At their weakest, the Shimu tribe didn't even have a divine venerable. Such a race should have had no place in the cruel great world, but fortunately, they still had some use. The Shimu tribe produced a fruit called the Shimu fruit, which contained immense vitality and was needed by all races. As a result, several slightly stronger nearby races kept them around, specifically to produce Shimu fruits for them. Even in the 100 Races Alliance, the Shimu tribe had no place. Once powerful, the Shimu tribe had now become slaves, living seemingly stable but actually very difficult lives. Lin Moyu, sitting in the warship, took a long detour, navigating along the edge of the domain space, arriving at the Shimu tribe's territory from the rear. 100,000 years ago, you should have perished. Living an extra 100,000 years, your luck has run out. There were no demonic barriers here. Lin Moyu easily flew in. Months later, the god of death once again made his grand entrance.